guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. We're going to talk about feeding today. I don't normally do feeding videos, especially not live feeding videos, because it opens you up to a lot of criticism. But snakes do have to eat, and feeding seems to be one of those issues that raises a lot of concerns from keepers. But I'm not going to show rats being eaten, at least not for the most part. I'm going to focus on snakes' feeding response and behaviour. And if your snakes are feeding on a regular basis, that's fine. That's all you need to be doing, and you don't need to change anything. Okay, feeding response in snakes. There are three prime senses that a snake uses that generates a feeding response. The first is scent, and scent is probably the most important sense in a snake. Your snake has a smelling super sense. It's also what allows the snake to know that it's feeding time even before you start opening tubs. The other senses that snakes use are sight, movement, and heat signature, and these are used at closer range. So there are certain protocols that I use. Please do not take liberties with your snakes when you're feeding, and if you do feed live, I would ask you to look at the response of these snakes and ask yourself in all honesty, are my snakes really switched on and ready to eat rats? So the first thing that I do on feeding day is to bring live rats into the room. They are in a transport tub. Nothing beats the smell of live rats. Even if you are going to feed frozen thawed, live rats generate an instant response from the snakes. You can use dirty rat bedding, you can use fresh killed rats, or you can even use the scent of frozen thawed rats in the room. Just takes a little bit longer. So to be brutally honest, nothing beats the smell of live rats, even if you're not going to feed live rats. So usually I bring live rats into the room about 8 o'clock at night. It's been dark for a couple of hours, and within 2 minutes my snakes are switched on and ready to eat. As I said, we're not going to show rats actually being eaten. We're focused on feeding response. So let's take a look. Reach from underneath the tub. Don't put your hand here where you present a heat signature, but reach from underneath the tub, lift it up. The snake is right there. Oh geez, look at that. Yo. This one. Oh. Ay, yo. Ready?
Oh, anak ko.
Okay, for all those of you that feed live, I would like you to think about what you've just seen in my snakes and think about what happens when you put a live rat into a tub with a snake. If your snake does not take the live rat instantly, your snake is in danger. And I've seen many videos where people put a rat into the snake's tub and even shove the rat towards the snake or pull the snake towards the rat, and then close the tub. My goodness, rats are brutal. They are very aware, they are very aggressive, and if you have to shut a rat into your snake tub and close the tub and leave it for 15 minutes, your snake will be bitten. The rat figures out very, very quickly what's going on, and your snake will take a nip or two, and this will put the snake off from eating live rats in the future. We've all seen those videos where the live rat crawls all over the snake and the snake flinches and tries to hide its head. If your snake is doing that, I would ask you to reevaluate your live feedings, and certainly don't close the tub on a live rat and snake in that situation. Yes, feeding live is more approaching nature. I would agree with that to some extent, but to be honest guys, there is nothing natural about trapping a rat and a snake together in a restricted space in its tub where there is no escape for either animal. One of them is going to get bitten, one of them is going to get hurt, and sometimes if you do that, it can be your snake. What do I mean when I say if your snake does not take the live rat instantly? If you don't want to see a live feeding, then please turn away. I will put a timestamp on the video so that you can see, for those of you that are sensitive and don't want to see. But by instant I mean this. Right, I'm not even going to hold a rat, I'm just going to open this cage here. Right, I'm ducking down so that I'm not inside.
That's ready.
The minute I give it a target, ready?
Right. Oh, that's too quick.
Okay, this snake's already been fed just a few minutes ago, but it's still switched on, and if I open the tub I get the same instant feeding response that I got before it ate, and this snake will still bite me if I'm not careful, even though it's already eaten. That is a feeding response. This snake wants to eat again.
So are you going to feed her again?
Nope. Same with this one here. Let's just pull this one open. There you go. I get the same instant feeding response even though this has now eaten. This snake is still keyed in, switched on and ready to eat again, and that snake will bite me if I put my hand anywhere near that tub. Okay, so last night we fed the grow-ons and my hatchlings, which get fed once a week. This is the morning after, and I just want to show you the response of the snakes in their tubs when there are no rats in the room. Remember, my breeder females have already gone for 1 week without food. They won't get fed until next week. So we're just going to pull open some tubs and you can see the difference in the snake's responses and behaviour. Let's have a look in some tubs. So this is a female that was fed yesterday and she's coiled up at the back of the tub. No response when I open the tub. She is aware that we're here, she knows we've opened the tub, but she's responding completely differently to the way that she behaved yesterday when there were rats in the room. So she is quietly digesting her meal. She's quite relaxed in the back of her tub there, and you can see the difference in her behaviour. She's turned from a angry snake ready to kill anything to something which is actually very manageable. We can go in, we can touch the snake. You see she's very defensive now. She doesn't actually want to be disturbed, but we can actually safely handle the snake and we're not going to get bitten. A completely different behaviour to what we saw yesterday when we had rats in the room. So let's just pull a few more tubs and you'll see exactly the same thing. This girl has not been fed. for a week. She is hungry, but you can see that she's not responding in any way. She didn't flinch, she's not nervous, she's just relaxed, doing what snakes do, conserving their energy, hiding, waiting for the next meal to come along. And again, I can take her tub out, I can put her on the desk here, I can clean the snake, I can do whatever I need to do, I can pick it up. The snake is actually quite manageable. They do flinch a little bit, they are a little bit defensive, they don't want to be disturbed, but they're quite handleable. And she is quite relaxed, she's not going to bite me, she just wants to be left alone. Now I have one snake here which is going to exhibit defensive behaviour. This is a leopard champagne, and if I open the tub, you can see instantly the snake flinches, and you can see the snake is tense. It's now coiling back with its head off the ground. This is a defensive posture. Now I can take the tub out. This is defensive behaviour. The snake is very aware, it's tracking me, it's following my every movement, and if I want to handle this snake, I have to come in from behind to pick the snake up. And you can see immediately when I pick the snake up how tense the snake is. It's coiled back, ready to strike, its body is stiff and tense. This snake is nervous. Again, a completely different behaviour set to what we saw yesterday when we were feeding the snakes. Now this defensive snake doesn't like me. That does not mean that it is not an aggressive eater. Do not be confused by this response and the feeding response. So this snake here, as you can see, I'm handling it, but I'm being careful to keep its head pointed away from me. It hasn't relaxed, it's very tense. This snake has always been this way, and it doesn't relax at all with any amount of handling. This snake just wants to go back into its tub and be left alone. So we'll do that. You can see that the snake has now zeroed in on me again. It is watching me. Very defensive. We can look at some other females. This tub at the top here, I can't actually see into the tub, so I don't know for sure where this snake is or how it's going to respond, but it's a non-feeding day. Again, this snake has not been fed for 2 weeks, so what I'm going to do is to open the tub. The snake cannot actually see me, so I pull the tub out, lower the tub down, and sure enough we get exactly the same response. The snake is totally relaxed, unfazed by me opening the tub. I can get in here and clean it. I can touch the snake, I can lift it out, I can do what I need to do. And while we're on the subject, I do think it is a mistake to keep rats or breed rats in the same room as your snake. You desensitize your snakes, they can smell the scent all the time, and you will not generate the same feeding response. If you feed frozen thawed, bring some live rats into the room or some dirty rat bedding and feed frozen thawed. I've put together a montage for you of my snakes feeding on frozen thawed. I offer my snakes options, I like to switch it around, but the main reason for offering live for me is that I have a lot of snakes and I don't like to waste food if they don't eat all the frozen thawed. So generally I switch it around for my snakes. I thaw out a limited number of frozen rats, I feed those off first and then I feed live, and anything that's left over at the end can go straight back into the live rat tubs outside the room and they're not wasted. So for me it's a logistical issue. The thing that saves your snake from being bitten in the wild is the speed and ferocity of the strike. And if your snake is not taking the prey instantly and ferociously, it is just as likely to be bitten itself by the rat. Okay guys, so that's feeding. I would ask those people that are feeding live to just look and, in all honesty, review the responses of their snakes. It's disrespectful to your snake to feed it live rats if it isn't switched on and ready to take a live rat aggressively. Your snake can get injured, and I think it's not reading your snakes correctly if they are not actually fired up and switched on in the same way that you've seen in this video. So please be honest with yourselves, and if you do feed live, just take a moment and re-evaluate your procedures. If you're not getting an aggressive response like my snakes, then either switch something around so that you are generating an aggressive response, or switch to fresh killed or frozen thawed rather than live. It's much fairer to your snakes. Okay guys, so that's the feeding video. I've broken with protocol. Sorry to all the sensitive people out there that don't like to see feeding videos. Snakes do need to eat, as we all do. I hope that answers some of your questions. Drop down into the comments below if you have more questions. But in terms of worrying about prey size, switching from mice to rats, I think you can see that if your snakes have a feeding response like mine, you tend not to worry so much about things like that. Okay guys, don't forget to share, like and subscribe.